So here we're looking at the Night Terror from the City of the Ancients box set, and you can see he's actually in a bunch of pieces, and one of the reasons for that is because we wanted to keep a really dynamic pose for him, because you only have 3 of them and he's pretty big enemy. So you can see he's in several different parts here. You've got the front half of his body, the back half of his body, and he's got his 2 arms, his 2 legs, his feet that get attached to the bottom of the legs, and a little outstretched hand and his head. So we'll go ahead and clip these off, and whenever I'm clipping off parts like this for a big model, a lot of times I'll try to put, you know, the 2 arms together and then the 2 legs together, so it's easy to keep track of what's what. So there's his 2 arms, and I'll go ahead and get his 2 feet off of here while I'm at it. So the Night Terror is a terrifying beastie who's large, so he can push aside smaller enemies to get to the heroes. And also he causes terror, which means if he's even close to you, he'll start doing sanity damage, which is pretty harsh. Now occasionally you'll find where the sprue connects to the figure is really close in, and so using the flat edge of the pliers against the model doesn't work very well. You can flip it around and use the other end, and then afterward go back with the flat end and trim it up so that it's nice and squared off. So here's his 2 legs. And again, just square that off. Alright. And last but not least, we have his head and his hand. Alright, so there's all the pieces. Now one thing you'll notice about the Night Terror is that, much like some of the other big models, he has anchors on some of his arms and legs, and that basically is where the plastic on the pin flares out a little bit at the end, so you want to put those pieces into the body before you put the 2 halves of the body together. Now, in dry fitting the body here, just putting the 2 pieces together without any glue yet, you'll notice that there's a little bit of sprue that's on one side of the body, and it's specifically on this little lip on the hip. So if you go in, you can just very carefully remove that little extra bit of sprue, and that'll give it a nice, tighter, cleaner connection. And you can either do that with your clippers, or you can do that with a file or a hot knife. And then it's a much cleaner connection when it goes together, like that. Alright, so let's take a look at the arms and legs, and we'll just dry fit them on here and see. It looks like this one is aimed down, so you can see it fits pretty nicely in there, in the slot, if you put the anchor in. And the other arm, actually I think will fit a little better if we put it in the front half of the body. So we dry fit it in there. That looks pretty good. Oops. And so by dry fitting it in, you can see how the pieces are going to fit together. So when the 2 halves of the body go together, you can see the arms work really nicely. But we got to get the legs in there first. So let's go ahead and try that now. Now with the legs, I'm going to go ahead and glue the feet on the legs before I glue the legs into the body, because they just have individual little pins. So just put a little dab of glue on there, and then put the foot on. You can line up the pegs with one another so you can get a nice solid connection. Oops. Oh, maybe I have the wrong foot. Let me take a look. Oh, yep, there you go. Oops. I think I needed just a little more glue in there. There you go. Nice clean connection. And I'll do the same thing on the other one here. A little too much glue. Anytime you get too much glue, you can just wipe a little bit off on a napkin or piece of paper. Yep. Alright. So now let's go ahead and dry fit those 2 legs into the body. That looks like it's going to fit pretty nicely in there. And this other one. This one looks like it's not an anchor, so we don't have to worry about putting that on just yet. We can put that on afterward. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit of glue where each of those anchors is going to go, and also around just the edge trim of the body so that the two halves can fit together nicely. We'll use our little board here and just drop that in, and we'll just put the top half right on the bottom and pinch it together so that it's a nice solid connection. And we'll just hold it for a minute while it's gluing. Now again, you can use either super glue or a plastic cement for this. Both work pretty well. We'll go ahead and put in the other leg now. Super glue dries a little bit faster, so that's kind of helpful. Plastic cement actually bonds the two pieces together, two pieces of plastic together, so that it's got a stronger connection over time. So we'll just hold that leg in there for a second for it to glue. And you can see that there's a little bit of flash left on the pin for the head. So I'm just going to take my hobby clippers and just clip off a little bit of that. And dry fitting the head on looks like, yeah, that's a really nice, clean, easy fit. So we'll go and just put a little glue on that nub. And we'll put the head on. Alright, and the last bit is the little outstretched hand. And you can see how the peg fits in there. It's going to be up, it looks like. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit of glue on the nub and put that hand on, just like that. And there's your Night Terror. So we will glue him on a base. Now because he's a large enemy, he goes on the larger 40mm base. So we'll just put a little bit of glue on the bottom of his feet, and we'll have a Night Terror. It's usually good to hold him down a little bit so that he doesn't fall over. And there you go, one Night Terror ready to terrorize the heroes.